program, The Drill. Like I said, joining us today in the studio is one of Africa's finest mind who hails from the northern part of Nigeria, precisely Adamawa State. He's the CEO and founder of IPI, one of the leading telecommunication technology company in Nigeria. And I told you he's also one of the young stars vying for the position of the presidency come 2019. Joining me today on The Drill is Adamu Garba. Welcome to Abisar.
Thank you very much, Jerry.
I can see you actually look good.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Anyway, your earliest recorded family history shows your great-grandfather and your grandfather and also your father were into cattle breeding and also farming.
That's true.
Is that so?
That's true.
And also somehow your father find his way and then sojourn in Jamaica, you love Adamawa State. That's so?
Yes, that's true.
Now, you said in your word that you went ahead to say, and I quote, the lack of exploitation and investment into tremendous potential in dairy production and its value chain in northern Nigeria is sudden. Let's talk about that. Why is it so?
Yes, because if you look at the daily production of cattle, the current production capacity of most of the cows that we have in the north is very low, simply because government does not see it as a business. They see it as a cultural activity. Meanwhile, exportation of milk, dairy product generally, and also these other economic opportunities provided by a cow as an entity is so huge that it sustains different economies, like New Zealand and even Netherlands, one of the most advanced countries. So you have a cattle that have capacity to produce up to 20 liters per day. Now, is producing less than 1 liter in most cases, simply because we did not actually look into it as a business. And in Nigeria, we have up to 32, 34 million different cattle in this country. So when you take the advantages of this, from the hides and skin to the dungs they produce, to the bones, to the dairy products they produce in form of milk, it's a huge economic potential that when we calculate it, we find out that actually on daily basis, the daily production of milk from cattle is going to be much more than the daily production of liters of oil in Nigeria.
Is the problem of leadership and policies?
Yes, sincerely, yes, it's a problem of leadership and policies. The policy of government consistently focus on the low-hanging fruits, which is oil that is coming from the ground. Meanwhile, we have a long opportunity that is just hanging in there in the north.
So what simply means Nigeria at the time has not really going to diversify an economy?
Definitely. Definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, you're also talking about the fact that cattle breeding and farming has to do with your family lineage.
Yes.
Let's talk about the Fulani Ants-Men.
Yes.
You tend to be one of the Fulanis.
Yes. I even had a cattle when I was very young.
Okay, because I also saw that in one of your books.
Yes.
Now, the Fulani Ants-Men and the killing, the cattle breeding, and also the farm rearing.
Yes.
According to ICI, gives an account that 6 more people had been killed by the Fulani Ants-Men compared to Boko Haram.
Yes.
And Nelson Mandela, and I quote, said, when a man is denied the right to live the life he has believed in, he has no choice but to become an outlaw. Now, could this be a sparking that killing as an Almajiri, like you said, could believe in Islamic law and knowledge?
Yes.
Could this be as a radical Islamic terrorist or victims in the age of global warming?
Yes, I think some people are attributing it to global warming. Some people are attributing it to extremism that's ideologically driven. But I think as society grow, if you check Nigerian population somewhere around 1970s till now, we are hitting about 200 million people. So naturally, the grazing land is decreasing by the influx of different people building different things on different land that ordinarily used to be a cattle breeding ground or maybe a farming ground. So what you need to do is to ranch them. I am a Fulani man, and as you just mentioned, and I also rear cattle. But I don't believe moving cattle from one point to the other in the 21st century is the right thing to do. What I believe should be done is ranching.
But let's talk
ranching is a business.
But let's talk about the killing. What is your stand in that? Because we see, when you talk about ranching, also the migration of cattle from one place to the other, and then we see killing by this Fulani Ants-Men.
Yes, because the problem is we have a culture transcending generations that allow you to move cattle from point A to point B before you can graze.
So does that
now that is actually what brings about taking the life of people. You moved your cattle to a particular location, and that location maybe have farms, and probably your cattle, which cannot be controlled in most cases because they are animals, decided to graze into a farmland, and the farmer responded, and the herdsman responded, and then you have a violence clash. So the best solution...
What has to do with dialogue in terms of...
yes, dialogue itself, once the kettles are moving, and the herdsmen are still moving with their cattle to different places. And naturally, they must cross through farmlands. And you may have this crisis, so the only solution is ranch them. Create a ground. This is a location where you are supposed to belong as a herdsman, and this is the location where you are supposed to belong as a farmer. Let me tell you the basic reasons.
Can I put it to you that
yes,
because you're a Fulani man, you tend to be picking side with the Fulani people.
No, never.
You cannot talk about killings.
No. I'm talking about it. I'm talking about it because this is a very heinous crime. You know, nobody will condone killing. Somebody like me, if there's anything I hate more, is the killing. And that is why I'm not talking about just fighting the killers. I'm talking about providing the final solution to the problem. There are two things that the Fulani herdsman is looking for, and there is two things that the farmer is looking for. The farmer is looking for good yield as a result of good vegetation and with good crops and the necessary things he needs to be able to farm his land. A cattle herdsman is looking for water and good grazing, where his cattle can be grazed. So why can't you create a ranch for them? Let them stay into these ranches. These ranches are even business opportunities, for God's sake.
So you're trying to say it's the problem of the government not creating ranching for
them? It's not actually the problem of the government. The problem is the government need to see it as a business opportunity and bring businessmen to come and invest in ranches because it's a very big business.
But talking about the ranching and also the Fulani herdsmen moving their cattle from one place to the other.
Yes.
And you know this is a farmland belong to certain farm people.
Yes.
So who has their produce? Why would you take your cattle and then eating up their farms and eating up their seeds?
Very bad. I imagine I'm a farmer and I farmed my grains, maybe my grains, and then they are growing, and suddenly you have a Fulani herdsman maybe coming with his cattle and then consuming it. It's actually not too good. I will naturally feel violent because I've invested a lot of effort to be able to farm it. And a Fulani herdsman, on the other hand, is looking for grazing. And in most cases, I told you, these are animals. Controlling them, you see, one Fulani man will be rearing maybe more than 30 cattle or more. So controlling them is going to be very difficult. They may trespass. And when they trespass, a lot of issues result in the process. So what you need to do is create a ranching policy, encourage...
Why saying this? Let's talk about the action of the president, because every president has to have a response to be able to curb situations like this.
Absolutely.
Now, Muhammadu Buhari, what would you say about his response to the Fulani herdsman killing that is happening at the northeastern part of Nigeria?
Yes, you see, he has... he usually depends on intelligence to be able to act.
And do you think that intelligence has acted
I don't think this intelligence are coming as swiftly as it should be. And I don't think also in most cases the president actually responds as swiftly as it should be, because once there is a killing in the land, you have principal responsibility as a president.
The lack of response is a support for the killing.
No, it's not a support for the killing.
Because if you respond entirely and swiftly, we simply you want
No. I believe, even the president himself attributed to the fact that he's a slow person in terms of responding to things.
Then that's
now, to me,
how can someone who's slow then be a leader?
I am not. No, it's naturally everybody has his own trait.
Okay.
But what I'm trying to say here is that the slowness to response doesn't mean he is in support of what is happening.
But he's an ex-military man who understands the power of an active
actually is supposed to be responded to immediately. If I happen to be in his shoe, I should be on ground there while responding. I can't even stay in Asorok to respond to a killing.
Okay, talking about you being in the shoe, I will get back there. You talk about your aspiration running for the office of the president.
Yes.
Under the platform of the APC, the All Progressive Congress.
That's true.
And then you also made a lot of noise, on the thought of saying what you want to see is a better Nigerian.
Yes.
That is word driven.
Yes.
And if you have a conviction to run for the seat of the president, and then all of a sudden you back off, I have a question to your conviction. And because if your conviction is true, then why back off?
You see, the problem is there is something around optimism and realism, especially as somebody who is a businessman for 10 years. I understand that there are things that connect the dots to be able to get you to wherever you want to go to. You cannot come up from a normal small political party or stand up with a sheer optimism and then decided to say you're going to
clean. It's a small political party.
No. I'm coming. Supposing I said I'm not going to back off.
Because you said in one of your books, during the time of Boni Aruna,
yes,
the former governor of Adamawa State, you're
yes,
one of the people who raised your voice to fight against the government. So
yes,
it simply means you're not just coming now. So
no.
The terrain
you
of
see,
politics.
if you look at that period, I was 22 years old, and now I'm 36 years. Now I'm 36 years. I have grown through the process and understand that even as a general, there are times that when you are fighting a war, there are moments when you discover some challenges that is not favorable to you, you retreat to prepare and then come back again. So when I push into the APC and I understand...
Time you retreat, what made you feel you will have the time to come back?
Definitely I will come back. Definitely. Because the way, what actually make a retreat is the situation surrounding it. The price of the form is so exorbitant, about 45 million naira, and my aspirations will handedly convince so many people to join the party and pick the party as their platform.
If you, as a businessman who run one of the finest technology companies in Africa, and then also if you are vying for the seat of the presidency, and then you are convinced enough that you are not going to allow money just to make you pull out just so easy.
No, well, let me tell you one thing. My business is a business organization that is run by the people, for the people. I service different companies, and the companies give their trust to us. I cannot touch one single kobo for my business to be able to further political ambition that is for Nigeria.
But we'll have the likes of young brain minds like Showore, Donald Duke, Fela Durotoi, and these were men who also were in your own shoe, but they end up still forging ahead.
Yes,
so
they are forging ahead.
Which simply means your conviction running for the presidency is questionable.
No, they are running on a smaller platforms that they know that is very highly unlikely to be able to achieve this aspiration.
And you can't. The amount of the form is still the same.
No, the amount of the form is not the same. Like Showore is his own party. If you talk of Donald Duke, of course, he has been a former governor, so he's a public servant. I can't say this is his business, but I can say I knew him in an office, so he has access to the pool of cash that you don't have to work for. So all those kind of things. So these people are running on different platforms. The only platform that can give you presidency in Nigeria are these two platforms, the PDP and the APC. Because Nigeria is a pure...
I dare to disagree with you, because there are other political parties. Yes. Why do we have to rely more on PDP and APC? Those are the major platforms.
Like if you check even where we inherited our democracy from, even Donald Trump, despite being very controversial.
And do you think that is true democracy? If only the people are saying that all the political party we have, that you can vie and then win an election and then get into power is through PDP and APC. That is not true democracy.
No. It is a very true democracy, and I can tell you why. Okay. I'm just trying to give you an example of the United States of America. Donald Trump, despite being very controversial and highly divergent in his ideology, decided to still think of pursuing through a platform that was actually going to give him the presidency, which is Republican. Donald Trump is supposed to have opened another party because most of the things he's saying is not even approved by the GOP.
You're talking as a partisan politician, or you're not talking as a true Nigerian? Because as a true Nigerian, you should be able to see it from an helicopter point of view.
You see, the problem we have in Nigeria consistently are two things. We are very emotional, and we are also very proud. And this is a very serious problem. You have to fight emotion and fight pride to be able to pass through the smallest needle to be able to clinch what you need to do. These two political parties are the only established platforms we have in the country. The only way we, the youth, can be able to succeed in leading this country is to enter into these political parties and dilute them. That has been my call from the beginning. Supposing you have all these contestants...
Now, talking about coming into these two major political parties, talking about PDP and APC, we know their manifesto, and we know their values in terms of how to lead Nigeria. And I think politics generally is a clash of ideas.
That's true.
And then we know that the ideas of the People Democratic Party and APC, it's somehow not favorable to the young Nigerians of today. Why do you decide to come under the platform of the APC?
The problem is the young people consistently run away from the platform that can easily give them power. These big people you see having these big positions.
So you're looking for just a smooth way in.
It's never a smooth way in, and that is why I even decided
now an easy way to get into power.
Yes, it's easy way to get into power, but not easy to get through the platform.
How easy? Because you know how to maneuver yourself in those political
parties.
You
have to get into those political parties, maneuver yourself, and get into power.
When you say maneuver yourself, that's questionable.
That's very important because it's politics, and in politics you have to play it properly the way you play chess.
When you say properly and maneuver, there's a clash of words.
There are no clash of words at all. When you get
Well,
into
maneuver
proper
your
channel,
way to get in,
no,
and
you
talk
don't
about
understand.
politics
When,
as
when
well.
somebody say maneuver your way, even the military, you were an ex-boy.
terms of bribing
you
and
know,
corruption,
never.
or finding your way in.
No, you know, you as an ex-military man or an ex-boy, you know about tactical maneuver in the military. So politics is just a war, but without bloodshed. So when you get in, you have to find your way, get your way, connect your way, and make sure that you cling to the right ticket and be able to fix the country.
You said without bloodshed. How true is that statement? Because we see, based on people who are very, very ready to do anything to get into power,
Yes.
we know what happens. What happens in the land. So when you say politics is not bloodshed, I tend to
Yes,
I don't know.
in Nigerian context, politics is still not yet mature.
Like it's a dirty
because
game.
no, I don't think it's a dirty
That is
game. You
what
see, this is
Nigeria
where the
knows
problem
it to
is. They used to tell us it's a dirty game to scare us away from it, and now they keep controlling our destiny. They determine the school fees of your children. They determine the bill you pay when you go to the hospital, and this is the problem. So it's not dirty. It's a very clean game. The problem we have consistently is simply because we have people that have not believed in democracy leading us as democratic leaders. You have somebody removing uniform and then wearing agbada and then go and say it is going to define democratic principles. You can never get it right. So if they lose because they don't have second address...
Before that, what was the comment on that?
Yes.
You also claim to take Nigeria out of poverty by creating jobs and building capacity.
Absolutely.
Now, how do you intend to do this when you have not even done anything for your state? Because you have to start from the state level.
Yes. Now,
what exactly have you done for the people?
No.
You came from Jamaica, you came from Adamawa.
Yes.
And then what have you done for the people? And now must you be in power for you to be able to lift people out of poverty and create jobs?
let me give you a simple scenario. Started up life as an Almajiri, a young boy. Going through school and going to university, even got restricted. Coming back to Lagos, starting up a business from ground zero. My constituency, first and foremost, is Nigeria. Now, starting a business from ground zero. Now, we have more than 45 people enjoying the benefit of what has been started 10 years ago, with different things and different places, and then servicing different customers. Now, if this is not enough credence for somebody achieving something, then there's a problem. At 36.
Do you have any of this in Adamawa State?
No, you don't have to establish a company where you don't have market. I'm coming.
Okay.
I'm coming.
But the
if
people
I am,
there deserve to
they
because
do.
that is where you
They
started
do.
from.
And I am doing my personal CSR responsibility to many people in Adamawa State. The only thing I promise to do, and I will always say that, I am not going to publish the name of any person simply because I want to score cheap points.
But yet we see the poverty rate in the northern eastern part of Nigeria still there.
Naturally,
What is the effect, basically?
No, there are a lot of effect. There are a lot of families that have been sponsored. There are a lot of children that have been sponsored to go to school. I just simply cannot mention their name to score points because I don't believe I can take their unfortunate position to rise and become popular and a good man. I can't do that. But what I know...
If you are doing that, then why do you need to be in the seat of power to be able to do that? Because
now,
if you're a good
because
statesman,
if you look at the little resources I have as an individual or a company, now you look at having opportunity to lead the entire country where you have the entire state resource at your disposal, you can do phenomenal changes. You can change life significantly. And that is the main reason why I aimed for the presidency.
Okay, somebody said here, and I said, the greatest corruption in Nigeria is the fake war against corruption being bandied by this government. Talking about the APC.
Yes.
And then that the greatest corruption is the fake war against corruption. And you're running under the platform of
Yes.
the APC.
Yes.
What do you have to say about
To be very,
the
very
APC
sincere with you,
government under Muhammadu Buhari?
To be very, very sincere with you, the war against corruption somehow has been successful under this government. At least it's better than the previous
But we
government.
see that it's not duly handled because APC
Can you-
seems
can
to
you give me a reference? Give me a
because
reference.
APC seems to shield. You know what I'm talking about.
No, I asked, give me a reference,
You know what I'm
because
talking
even
about.
Joshua
Like the APC,
Darie,
everybody who seems
Joshua
to be
Darie
corrupt are
currently,
running into the APC.
no, Joshua Darie
platform.
currently is serving a jail term, but he's an APC member, a sitting senator, and he's serving a jail term.
Based on
Because
extreme measures, but we know
No.
people who are close to the president that we know of their corrupt activities.
That is why
But till
I say,
now,
can you mention a
justice
single
has
name?
not been- No, I'm talking to you.
that's why I said, can you mention a single name? Because I can. Obviously, I can't.
You
I
are
can't
in
point.
APC, you should know these people.
That is why I'm telling you, I can't. If you know one, now you can mention it so that we can discuss it, but I can't. Because I know so far the president have tried tremendously in the case of fighting
You say
against
this
corruption.
because you're running under the party?
No,
because you belong, you're a strong member of APC.
I am a strong member of the APC, but the fact is that everywhere, including the
So
PDP, are attesting.
obviously you cannot talk about
No.
negative about your party.
Even the
That's what
PDP
you're trying to
members,
tell me,
even
Mr.
PDP
Adamu.
members are attesting to the fact that the president succeeded tremendously in fight against corruption. And let me tell you one thing. I don't know if I can have 1 minute to explain something to you. Let me tell you this. The establishment of the government of the APC from PDP from 1999 to 2015 has been completely patronage driven. Most of the institutions were designed to be able to corner money to some of their big patron members. And now the president is doing a lot of things to make sure that we change the status quo.
With a lot of people suffering and dying in the land.
Naturally, a lot of people are suffering, a lot of people are dying, there is hunger everywhere,
And
there are
also
challenges.
the
I agree with that, but naturally, at some point in life, you must have to press the kind of, you have to press a pause button, press a reset button, and throughout the period of this reset, you will have a period of rebuild and a lot of challenges before you now come up and pick up again. So I believe, yes, there are challenges now.
Do you think that is a policy that will work in Africa, about the policy of building at the same time when you're trying to fight corruption with one hand, you're also building as well? People are being retrenched from their jobs. People are dying of poverty, the lack of hospital facilities. By the day, we can count the numbers of people.
Absolutely.
Now,
If you
do
go
you want
to
to say the APC government under Muhammadu Buhari have done so well for Nigeria? Because it seems like Nigerians are complaining about this government.
To be very, very sincere with you, in the area of economy, I always score the president's team very low. I always say that. I think I was one of the most vocal critic of president's economic policy directions, completely. But when you talk about corruption, when you talk about the areas of security, he has tried. But when it comes about economy, the president actually scored very, very low, and that is what is greatly affecting Nigerians.
You also talk about fighting the Boko Haram insurgents.
Yes,
we
fighting
see where the president is having negotiation with terrorist group. Do you think that should be done and try to have negotiation with terrorists?
Let me give you a simple example.
Then based on terms and conditions, where you know these particular
Let me give you a simple example. In 2001, President Bush declared war on terrorists, and then he invaded Afghanistan. 13 years after, or even 15 years after, American military men are still dying trying to fight terrorists in Afghanistan. Eventually, Obama have to do a backdoor negotiation to negotiate the withdrawal of the troops in Afghanistan, simply because it's absurd for any leader to say you are going to use bullet or fist to fight ideology. These people are driven by ideology. The only way to deal with them is to have a counter-ideology response strategy, to have a group of people that will raise with a counter-ideology to confront them. But the only way to be able to neutralize them is to bring them on table to talk. If they are talking, they are not acting.
But we're speaking about ideology. The APC government came before they came into power, and they gave a lot of ideologies to Nigerians about the feeding, paying of 5,000 naira to graduate, and all kinds of
I
policies.
don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with populist
But right
policies.
now, he seems like the president and the APC tend to lie to Nigeria. And also, let's talk about also the forgery of the president, about the certificate. How can you say you're a president, you love your country, and then you lie to them? That's
Which lie? Can you give me one?
talking about this forgery of document.
Forgery of document?
Yes.
No, there is no forgery of document.
You think so?
I am 100% sure.
What would you think so?
Because this man has passed through the military, Nigerian military. Not just in Nigeria, have passed through different colleges in the
But
UK and the US.
Just few weeks back,
you
came out to say.
You can't be in the military college in the US, Royal College in the UK, go to War College in the US and come back without necessary papers. You can't be able to be a military man without rising from a position to become even a governor, to become a federal minister, to become in several positions to work in it. You can't pass through this process. The fact that you don't have a WAEC, according to what people are saying, doesn't even dignify a response. I don't even know why the president team is responding to this, simply because this is a demonstrated practical general who participated in Nigerian wars and several activities in the country. So I don't see any reason why people should even be able to be complaining about forgery document.
Well, because you're like I already said, you're part of the APC, so I don't expect anything otherwise.
No, it's not like that. Actually, this is fact. This man was even the head of state in this country. You know that. So how can you rise to the position of head of state despite the bureaucracy in the military? And then now somebody will now come and tell you that he has no WAEC certificate. Is that not a joke?
Okay,
So I don't see that
let's
serious.
talk about this. As a custodian of the Islamic book and
Yes.
and law, which is the Al-Majri.
Yes.
You talk about when the name Al-Majri is mentioned, people have a mental picture of poverty,
Yes.
Illiteracy,
Yes.
and lack of education.
Yes.
And I also discovered that Al-Majri is derived from the word Al-Maron.
Yes.
Al-Maron, which simply means Islamic knowledge and all that.
Yes.
But don't you think that the misconception of Al-Majri and people viewing it in aspect of poverty, lack of education in the northern part of Nigeria could be true?
Now, let me tell you this, right? Al-Mahajiri mean Al-Muhajir, like somebody who is a traveler. Because they are trying to follow the tradition of traveling from one point to the other to pick different kind of knowledge.
But we have them coming to Lagos and other parts of Nigeria
To
without
look
any
for
sense
knowledge.
of taking
Now,
knowledge.
that's why I'm telling you, principally, is to go and seek for knowledge. Now, along the line, something happened, and because of fiefdom, some people began to take advantage of this Al-Majri system, whereby because one Malam will gather so many children inside his house, and I'm a farmer, maybe a rich farmer, I can be able to come to that house and hire several of these guys to go and work in my farm and make money. So it became like a fiefdom setting. And before you realize it, people going to Al-Majri school, instead of them to actually focus on learning the knowledge, they are now being pushed to go and source for money to sustain the malams. So this is an ill practice that's supposed to be addressed. I want to give a credit to the government of President Goodluck Jonathan when he started to institute modernism in the process of Al-Majri school.
But the Al-Majri school right now, it's no longer functioning the way it used to be before.
Yes, the problem is,
desert ground.
let me tell you something. The problem is it was established, though credibly, but mostly driven by political persuasion, and that is why
I was coming there. Could
No.
it be just to
It's
frustrate
just-
the concept of the former party by this administration?
No. When you create a sustainable platform, nobody can be able to quench it down. When President Goodluck Jonathan and Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala implemented TSE, when President Muhammadu Buhari came, he decided to leverage it, and then he was using it. When Goodluck Jonathan started building roads and building power plants, when President Muhammadu Buhari came, he continues this project. He even stated very clearly that his plan is to continue the outstanding projects that have been abandoned in the country. Now, the reason why Al-Majri School collapsed was simply because it was established not on a sustainable platform.
But let's talk about
Lack of that sustainability is where the problem
Al-Majri
is.
school, because basically it's all about the Islamic law, to uphold the Islamic law and the Islamic book. And we know about the uneducated rate in Nigeria, basically.
Yes.
Other northern people.
Yes.
With Yobe State with 7.3%, 39%, if I'm correct.
Yes.
What are people like you who come from those parts and who was also an Al-Majri
Yes.
trying to do to bring up these people out from that place? And
We
to be
are
able to get them
talking.
educated?
We are talking seriously. We want people to understand that it's very, very important for them to get educated. But there are another thing that I need to correct here, a misconception. Education doesn't mean speaking English. Because this is actually where we're actually missing it. A Chinese man don't know how to speak English as he can build an aeroplane. These people can speak only Hausa as the language they know. But if you check them, you will find out that there are some things they have in them. But because of the societal arrangement, a very feudalistic societal arrangement, and made them to look little and not exploit these potentials. So what we are trying to do is, okay, fine, go to school, even if you don't know how to speak the English, but learn something very important to sustain yourself. That is actually what we are doing. Personally, I'm interested in creating a program, an entrepreneurship drive program, to ensure not just in the north, the entire country, so that the youth can engage in something meaningful that they need to use their hand to do.
All right, okay,
Yes.
okay. It's a pleasure having you here
Yes.
on the drill, and we look forward to having you some all the time.
Thank
And,
you very much.
I hope that you go out there and make Nigerian proud, and that we hope to see you soon.
Thank you very
All right,
much.
okay, on the drill today, that's one of the finest African mind, the founder and CEO of IPI, one of the technology company in Africa, Gadba Dabu. See you next time on the drill. I'm Jeffrey James.